Good day, everyone. My name is Nathaniel Ben, and today we'll be looking at why Kentucky should offer more online classes to students. Now, do you have a problem or challenges in in-class sessions? Do you have issues with class sessions? Want a way to fix all these problems? Want a way to do classes on your own time? Clearly online classes are something that students or audience like, and it helps them in many ways. Having done online classes personally, I think it benefited me a lot because it helped me to be more productive and get work done. Our thesis for this project would be the University of Kentucky needs to add more online classes to help busy students by teaching them responsibility and self-discipline. Because there are students out there that might be struggling in class sessions, and they might not be struggling with an online class because it's way more easier because, for example, people in this class are mostly like student athletes, and online classes help us a lot, so we get through the day real good, especially in this class. In the rest of this presentation, I'll introduce you to Molly, Lainey, and Rachel. Molly will be looking at why it is important for the University of Kentucky to offer more online classes for us. Lainey will be looking at the beneficial of online classes and a visual perspective on certain ways she goes about in her daily life. And Rachel will show us how to take action and conclude this whole project together. So, yes.
Hi. As Ben said, it is necessary for the University of Kentucky to add more online classes. One of the reasons is because students are busier now than they have ever been. And this is because classes are going away from Big Bang finals to more continuous assessment throughout the semester, and it's causing students to be busier throughout the entire semester and not just at the end. Also, classes are expecting students to put in a minimum of 3 hours of work per 1 credit hour that they are in class. And when to be a full-time student, you need to take 12 credit hours. This can add up to a minimum of 45 hours a week in class and working on classes. Not only are classes harder, but students are feeling a lot of pressure to get more involved. This includes resume builders, like internships, co-ops, job shadowing, volunteer hours, work experience, student government, studying abroad, personal projects, and honor societies. These things are stressing students out. On top of that, students are pressured to get involved to help with personal growth. Students need to be involved in student organizations that they're interested in to help find other students who are interested in the same thing and help make friends. There are over 500 student organizations available for students at the University of Kentucky, and these organizations range from athletics, fine arts, and religion to politics, agriculture, and sororities. Now, these busier classes and more extracurricular activities are causing students to be stressed. CopalStudentMedia.org reported on a survey that found that 30% of teens reported feeling sad or depressed because of stress, and 31% felt overwhelmed. These statistics are really mind-blowing because students should not be this stressed. The stress of students is causing them to look elsewhere to help minimize their schedules and their daily lives. And many students are looking at online classes for a solution to this problem. According to bestonlinecolleges.org, in 2007, 20% of students were choosing online education, and 3.7% of them are taking exclusively online classes. Now in 10 years, these numbers have skyrocketed. In 2017, 25.8% of students are choosing online classes, and 12.5% are exclusively choosing online classes. These numbers are higher than the academic world has ever seen, and they are predicting that these numbers will continue to rise throughout the years. Now, with the demand of online classes increasing, Kentucky is not keeping up with the supply. Online classes are the hardest classes to get into at the University of Kentucky, and that can be seen in this class alone. Most of the people in this online class are only in this class because they have priority registration. Many majors at the University of Kentucky don't even offer a single online class. Some of these majors include computer science, education, journalism, mathematics, psychology, management, and engineering. These are just a few. I found those at the course catalog for fall 2019. Now that you know why Kentucky needs to be adding more online classes, Lainey is here to talk about what that will look like.
As Molly said, the lack of online classes is shocking. The University of Kentucky needs to add more online classes into this catalog. Our idea to help with this is to start off small and then expand. So at first we want, as Molly just previously said, not all colleges even have one online class. So we want to start off first by making sure that each college has at least one online class. Then once this is accomplished, we then want each college to start expanding their online classes. We think that starting small will be helpful because we don't want to set our goals too high at the start. And so just starting off small and then expanding we think is the best. Online classes are super helpful, not only because it helps with your daily schedule, but it also teaches you a lot of things as well. And you need to have these certain traits to be able to do online classes. So online classes teach self-discipline and responsibility, even more so than just in a traditional class, which is why online classes are super beneficial as well. Online classes teach self-discipline due to just having to be on top of your work. In a regular face-to-face classroom, teachers will remind students of what they need to accomplish, and they'll have a lot more face-to-face interaction. But in an online class, obviously it's all online, so you don't have this. So you need to make sure that you're keeping up and you're looking at the announcements from the teachers, and that you're making sure that all of your assignments are completed at the right dates. So there's a lot more self-discipline within it. This also leads itself well into how it teaches responsibility. So we believe that this group project is a really good example of this for teaching responsibility in an online class. Just because in a regular face-to-face class, if you have a group project, you can figure out what you're going to do. Even if you have to meet outside of class, you can still figure out what you need to do with your group in class and just have everything ready to go. Whereas in an online class, we all didn't really even know each other, so we had to figure out who we were, who each person was, figure out their contact, then meet, figure out schedules. So there's a lot more responsibility in being in self-discipline and having to do that. So we think that that's a good example of what online classes teach you. Also, online classes are not only helpful for what it teaches you, but it's also helpful for people who are just busy, in general, don't have all the time to take just traditional face-to-face classes and need to have the online classes in order to meet their required credits. These people include student athletes, people who have jobs, people who are just looking to be more involved in the school. So for me personally, student athlete, I am a student athlete, so I want to talk about my experience with that and how online classes help. So being a student athlete, I have to wake up early in the morning for either practice or making sure that I have a good nutritious breakfast so that I can do well in a workout in the afternoon. We also then have to go to class, we have required study hours, we have required tutors, and then obviously we have practice on top of that, and have rehab and treatment. So there's not a lot of time in the day to get all that we have to accomplish. So having these, I've had 3 online classes since being at UK, and I'm just a freshman here, and they've been super helpful so that I've been able to get all the credits that I need to receive, and I really don't think that I could have the credits that I have now without these online classes. So according to the Community College of Aurora, in a traditional classroom setting, class meeting times are set, and the students have no power over this, forcing them to work their schedules around these dates. Most people who choose online learning tend to have commitments and prefer this mode of learning, as it gives them power over how they will delegate their time towards their different projects. So I feel like this perfectly sums it up that you know, people who are taking online classes are very busy, so it just helps with online classes that they can do it on their own time schedule. Also, one last thing, one worry about online classes is that they're just they're not as hard and as rigorous as a regular face-to-face course, which people are worried about. But 85% of all colleges in the US are regionally accredited in online courses, so that isn't something that needs to be worried about. So then I also have visualization. So leading into that, I have 2 quotes that I think are just a good starting point for visualization. So that is, according to Cronkite News PBS, at Arizona State, athletes are able to learn on an equal playing field with their in-class peers, according to the athletic department. So I think that this is important because a lot of the times when athletes are traveling, and if you're an athlete, like thinking about how you do travel so much, having to be able to having an equal playing field is really important. Also, another quote is, many times getting a college degree requires quitting your job. After all, it can be difficult to juggle the demands of school and work simultaneously. But if you're organized and self-disciplined, it is often possible to do both. So we also thought this was important to piece into visualization, because obviously not all people taking online classes are student athletes, so it kind of gives a good visualization and agreement for those that just have a job and are super busy, so that online classes are super helpful for this. We also now have a video which shows the day in the life of a student athlete and how online classes are super beneficial.
Is this how busy your day is? From waking up early to go to breakfast to get a nutritious start to the day, to then going to class number 1, then class number 2, then a recitation on top of it, and then lastly, to top it off, a tutoring session before heading to practice. Then after, to do another group project, and finally being able to do the online class at the end of the night. Without an online class, this would not be possible.
So I think this perfectly just sums up visualization and seeing the day in life of a student athlete and how it can be really busy, and there's certain things that go unnoticed, as previously stated, how you need to have a good breakfast, which isn't part of, like, that's not like a class per se, but it is a scheduled thing that you need to do, as well as rehab and treatment that people a lot of the time don't think about and goes unnoticed. So this just perfectly shows a really good visualization of how online classes are super helpful in the day of the life of a student athlete or someone else, such as who has a job or just has a really busy schedule. So now I'm going to leave it with Rachel to talk about the action.
So as Lainey described what the solution would be, I'll be discussing how to reach this solution. So with taking action, students are the ones who have the voice and can make that change to get more online classes. So there are multiple things students can do. Students can begin talking to the administration about their want or need for online classes. They can also start a petition that would show their support in their one could also get different students and possibly like professors and faculty to sign. And then having the surrounding colleges, such as community colleges like BCTC, who take classes through Kentucky, would also help, because there would be even more supporters of this. So talking to administration would be the most efficient and the quickest way to get the point across. When talking to them, students need to be sure to mention that there are time constraints due to class and other activities or responsibilities, and then explaining why having more online classes would be beneficial to them and other students, because they'd be able to do class on their own time. So if they were to have a break in between classes where their online class would be, they can either choose to do it then and like be in a relaxed state, or they can wait till later that night and take that break as a time to just rest, and then they're more likely to do their work at the end of the day. And a quote from an article about how online classes are becoming more popular. It says, public colleges and universities had the largest growth in online course enrollment between fall 2015 and 2016 at 7.3%. Roughly 2/3 of all online students enroll in programs at public schools. So basically what we want to get from this is that more and more students are enrolling in online classes, which means the availability to fill this class is going to be limited. So if a student doesn't have priority registration or they're late to their registration, the class could easily be full, and getting more online classes at the university would allow more students to take the classes. So getting support is a big thing and aspect of getting what you want. Petitions are a great way to show that there is an interest and there is support for these online classes. If students were to start a petition, it could be signed by students, professors, advisors, and other faculty at the university who think that these online classes would help students out with their education. And a quote from an article that is all about how petitions are becoming more popular and how they are helping prove a point. The quote says, they are also a form of awareness raising. So when somebody signs a petition, often that means they have become aware of the issue and they wouldn't have known about it otherwise. So there are some students on campus, I'm sure, that don't take online classes because they have the leisurely time to get all their classes done at the times they want. But they might learn later on that their schedules become busier and they would need that online class, and showing them that there's a limited amount, that maybe when they get to that point they wouldn't be able to get it because it'd already be full by their registration. They would be more interested to learn about and help get more online classes. So we do have a good amount of visiting students here, which visiting students are just students from the surrounding colleges such as BCTC, like I said before, that take classes through the university. Having more online classes would also benefit them because most of them do not live on campus, so they do have to commute here to take those classes. So doing that would save them time, so they wouldn't be traveling so much to get here. But also getting support from these students would also be helpful because it would widen the population of people who support getting more classes and would also take advantage of these classes. And from Nathaniel introducing us to the topic, to Molly telling the importance of these classes, to Lainey telling us why these classes are beneficial to students and giving a visual, and to myself showing how to take action, we can conclude that college students have busy schedules, whether that be from sports, campus involvement, new extracurricular activities, or jobs that will help them in their future and possibly their careers. Students would benefit from online classes by being able to do classwork on their own time and when they have the time to do. So online classes teach students skills that they would need for the real world, such as self-discipline and responsibility. But ultimately, it is up to the students to take matters into their own hands and make an effort to get more online classes.